United with 3 frontliners last time, the Athena, the Ymir, and the Osiris. Remember, Gabe didn't really have much frontline. They all wanted to be in the same position, was the worst thing for that roster, I feel, for that composition they drafted. They all want to be about the same distance away. Eventually, someone's going to be the one furthest forward, and most of the time it was poor old Hurrywind.
Poor old Hurrywind, indeed. And it wasn't even necessarily him being the most far forward. It's just there was nobody to stop Benji or the rest of eUnited from running immediately to the back line, because every single time Hurrywind tried to get away, he just couldn't.
Well, this time around, Gabe going to go back to the Zeus once more. eUnited have the option for themselves as well now of where they want to go to. Sylvanas is available if they want to look to take that themselves, but I don't think there's anything wrong with the Athena play from Pain there.
Athena play was pretty on point by the General. He had the taunt cooldowns every single time and was just spamming it, which is what you really want to do. Benji trying to run it back on the Osiris.
Why not?
And I mean, if it works, why change it?
Why not? Osiris did get buffed recently, and you start to see even more competitive play because of it. In-hand cancelling, very important on Osiris, but if you can do it well, you can get even more damage out. And Snoopy gonna run back the Scardy. There is finally a change of memory of Gabe's tactic this time round. They will have at least one frontliner in Vamana.
I like this change up already. I don't think there was an issue in that last game with the Zeus and Scotty in particular. I think it was mostly just a lack of that frontline presence. When you don't have the peel to free cast, you're not going to look as good as the hyper carries on the side of eUnited.
Well, Vulcan going to be locked in for eUnited once more, so it's the same draft from eUnited up to now. We'll see if any final changes happen, because we did see Ymir and the Hoagie with the final 2 picks from eUnited. Remember, Gabe may give them the same comp. Do you reckon they would?
No. And that answers it right away.
Job,
they took away the Ymir and Verizial, but I mean, PandaCat still got his Huyi. He's not complaining.
True. That's true. But that means that Verizial could be playing Athena jungle right now, or we could see a different sort of setup god available. Where do you want to see that go?
Ideally, I would prefer to see the Athena stay onto Pain to Beyond. I don't feel as though it suits Verizial's playstyle. I would much rather see Verizial on like a Thor, potentially. Here, and it wouldn't surprise me if he opted for that against Susanoo. I mean, there's still Fenrir on the table even, and he goes for the Ratatasker, which is almost like Thor.
It's pretty much the same thing, in a weird way of looking at it. But I do like Mamiya Gabe's draft a little bit better here. They've got Vamana and Sobek for the front line. Susanoo is one that will dance with the front line a lot of the time as well, going aggressive and then disengaging, then looking for waiting for his abilities to come off cooldown and repeat the process. Same thing can be said with Ratatasker, but it's not going to be providing the same sort of sustain unless he goes tanky with that Ratatasker that the Ymir had last game with the tankiness. Really,
the main priority here for Gabe is the fact that they're actually going to be able to permit their carries to do damage, because we didn't really see a whole lot of that coming out on the side of Gabe last game. After a certain point in time, they were just unable to. When you have so much tankiness in your face, there's nowhere for you to really go.
Now, a couple of changes in the patches mean that we do see the rise of Soulstone coming back towards the mid lane. Chaos has picked that up for himself and the Vulcan, and he's got the tiny trinket too, which is now maybe going to start seeing lifesteal coming back into play now. Taco, Bancrofts and Book of the Dead are viable options now.
I would prefer to see Bancroft's Talon, though, over the Book of the Dead, just because it's such a guaranteed power spike.
That's true. We'll see what they can do with that if he does go for that Bancroft's Talon. At the moment, just keep an eye on the position of where everybody started. eUnited have 2 members on the right-hand side. Benji and Verizial are actually in lane. Sideshaw will be starting on the jungle side as well. Walrus, not sure where he wants to go right now. He's having a good old think about it, but with Yannick being in mid lane, it looks like it'll be a 2v1 mid, 2v2 right, and 1v2 in the duo lane. Benji versus Sideshaw, as you'd expect. Benji's going to invest some poke into Sideshaw. Sideshaw focus on the creeps with that Bluestone Pendant where possible.
And eUnited getting the better trade of that clear initially, although it wasn't awful clear by Gabe, just slightly better with the Osiris.
Well, on the right-hand side as well, you can see the invade coming out from Hurrywind and Neonic after pressure and chaos in the mid lane. They have looked towards the speed buff. Now they're looking at the blue. The Elemental's being looked at by both teams right now. Not 100% sold on who really got those ones just yet. Apologies for not knowing. Verizial, though, is in a lot of trouble, though. Forced to beat. He may get away from this still, as Hurrywind does not have any more follow-up damage. No detonates available to pick up Verizial. He'll escape with his life, just barely.
And that was a beautiful meatball by Chaos, preventing Ionic from having any sort of follow-up potential, which is exactly what you want to happen, considering that Verizial had to expend his beats.
Left-hand side, though, United will get the left-hand Harpies there. The Oracle's still available. Snoopy has just dropped his own purple buff down that left-hand side as well, just for the safety. At least the baby creeps for the most part, to make sure he could look after them. Level 3 for both Hurrywind and Neonic in mid lane now. A small level advantage and a very nice chain lightning.
Hurrywin pretty happy to get that triple detonate going off when you have 3 lightning bolts around you. That's never a fun sign to see as a mid laner or a jungler.
Well, Viriziel was looking for the red buff invade on the left-hand side here. Sadly, Snoopy's already picked that up for memory of Gabe. He won't be too upset, though, Viriziel, because back harpies are worth a little bit more at the moment, so stealing those away is denial of jungle from the enemy and gives you that level 3 that he was really after before he has to head back to base.
And the thing is, too, Sino had so much more flexibility with how he played into this initial starting point. Considering that they poked out Viriziel so early on, he couldn't really afford to hang around that solo lane side anymore. He needed to just safely farm out the waves underneath the tower and mid. So because of that, I mean, Gabe are already coming out pretty on top so far.
Yeah, I do like what Snoopy did on the left-hand side as well. He started Boots and Bluestone here, knowing he was going to be in a 2v1 with eUnited starting mid lane. The mobility from the Boots will help him survive a little bit longer. But not only that, though, it's the amount of sustain he gets from those potions, Taco.
Potions are always really important for Scotty early on, considering that while she has great clear, you know, like you mentioned, in a 2v1 scenario, it's great clear isn't necessarily the best.
No, because you're still going to get pressured anyway, because there's 2 people trying to clear against you. eUnited now turns up to the duo lane to find Snoopy still at level 3, which means that we'll probably see eUnited's duo lane hit 5 before the whole duo lane of Gabe's now.
I also really like the Sobek pick. I was about to say, hold that thought, because...
Yeah, I like that little play from eUnited, actually, because they invested quite a bit into eUnited there for a second. Instead of going for the all-in kill, they just fall back immediately. They didn't get meditation out of eUnited, so it was very well played by eUnited as well, not to fall for that trap.
I think that's what they were trying to bait out, too, is they wanted that free active, because then it opens up eUnited the next time round that he tries to venture into that lane, immediately jump on top of him. But what I was saying is, I like the Sobek a lot more than the Sylvanas for eUnited, because not only does it allow him to be a little bit more aggressive, but it's a lot harder for Pain to just freely dash in to look for those taunts immediately, because if eUnited's fast enough and he responds with a pluck himself, Pain's going to have nowhere to go.
He'll go for a flying ride that he doesn't want to go on, that's for sure. All the tail whip can cancel out the taunt. eUnited may catch Pain to be on the left-hand side here. The taunt was good, but the pluck back from eUnited was better. Pain's looking to charge away and will do so, but Cynosure was waiting perfectly with the jet stream to pick up the kill with the ultimate.
And already, you can see how the composition for Gabe is coming together significantly better this time around, punishing Pain immediately for being out of position.
Was he out of position, though? He was just trying to go back in his own half of the map. Was that like a wall coverage, or was that just being too far forward?
Just being way too far forward at that point in time. He should have been a little bit more cautious, considering that there's a Sobek, and Sobek flourishes pretty heavily at the early standpoints of the game.
Well, Sobek right now invading the enemy jungle on his own. There's going to be 3 members of eUnited. Make that 4 in a second when Pain to Beyond turns up all around this area. eUnited recognizes that, very similar to Snoopy in game 1, and goes, no, I think I'll think better of trying to steal that one away.
There's nothing wrong with him just providing presence, though, considering that Panic Cat is super low on mana. He doesn't really have a whole lot for escaping. So just in case anybody from eUnited decided not to show up.
Walrus went a little bit aggressive in the jungle there, but he's got away with it just about. He went to proxy farm the wave coming in, and Viriziel and Benji both tried to collapse onto him, but he did escape back to safety just about. Walrus still in a pretty decent zone right now, but in comes Viriziel with the ultimate. Immediate tail with eUnited. Makes Pain to Beyond. Once again, he's on that wild ride that we were talking about. He didn't want to be there. Hurrywin will get credit for the kill. And now Memory of Gabe can look to steal speed and a blue.
And it's looking like the speed buff is 100% Gabe's, as well as the blue buff. Benji isn't really going to have a whole lot of potential to contest that, especially not knowing that Gabe is still lingering around in the jungle.
It's funny that, because Walrus was the one out of position a little bit with the collapse coming in from eUnited, knowing the speed and blue was coming up, but it worked in their favor so well when they didn't manage to get the engagement off.
But are you really out of position as a level 8 Vamana with an ultimate available?
Against an Osiris with Lord of the Afterlife?
But,
yeah.
But the thing is, Viriziel, he's Ratataskor level 6 without Acorn even.
But
he just finished Acorn.
He had ultimate as well.
The burst potential,
you don't
though,
think he's enough?
Sino has too much mobility on the Susano. Walrus was safe. I think he was safe the whole way through. Wasn't really having any sort of care in the world.
I don't know. I don't agree with that one, but we'll see. Maybe it'll happen again later on. But if it happens later on, it'll be even tankier and not just have boots on the side of Walrus, and you'll be like, see, I told you so. 6 minutes in, though, Memory of Gabe do find themselves in a much better position than Game 1, looking to at least try and find a split here against eUnited, which would see Memory of Gabe end still in the same position where they are, I believe, after the game so far.
Now, this time around, Gabe actually with a 2K gold lead, which is pretty important at this stage of the game, considering that we're only 6.5 minutes in and climbing playing. And I mean, that's a solid goal lead to establish for yourselves early on, especially considering that Gold Fury hasn't been...
taking a fight against Panda Cat, but he didn't realize Virizio was waiting too. Virizio got aggro from Caldeir as Panda Cat has dealt with Snoopy, which means Caldeir has gone too. In the sky, Virizio is hanging around to see the rotations coming in. They don't want to bite off any more here. United, they'll be happy with that pick on Snoopy.
Snoopy got a little bit too greedy right there in the duo lane. Just felt like he could go toe-to-toe with Panda Cat, but the baits were pretty strong.
To be fair, Panda Cat always plays like he's ready to fight anyway. It doesn't mean... you don't know if he's got someone in rotation or he's just looking to fight, and you can't really tell the difference until it's too late. You either kill him because he's gone too aggressive, or there's always a rotation coming.
As a hunter, though, you kind of just have to anticipate if somebody's playing over-aggressive. Well, the thing is, like you mentioned, Panda Cat always plays aggressive, right? So if he's going to be engaging on you, a lot of times it's better to just back off. Because if you can't tell, if you're uncertain as a hunter whether or not somebody's waiting for you in the jungle, you might as well just back off.
But then you've got Caldeir, man.
Better safe than sorry.
But then you're in a 2v2 because you've got Caldeir, right? And Caldeir...
I don't think it works like that.
Right? No?
I don't think it works like that when it comes to ability-based damage.
Okay, I'm just saying, like, Caldeir blocks shots from the Hunter, so why not take the trade?
But she doesn't block anything from Hu Yi. That's one of the advantages for Hu Yi, is that he has that massive AoE ultimate, and the Ricochet, I mentioned it before in game number 1, but it goes straight through both.
That's true. That's true. And it will remove one of the life bars of Caldeir, which do regen over time. Snoopy now back from his little tumble down. Virizio still camping this left-hand side of the map right now. The red buff is about to spawn from memory of Gabe. Snoopy and Hurricane recognize that, and they do have war coverage, so they know Virizio's around this area.
I really like this from Virizio as well, just pinning Snoopy down, not allowing him to free farm like we've seen happen so many times.
But you do that, and then you expose your own speed buff on the right-hand side, which is what Sinosure and Memory of Gabe just stole away. They won't be able to get the blue, though, with 3 members of United now grouping up for it. But this just create a window for Memory of Gabe to get the oracles, or even turn their attention to the gold if they were feeling frisky.
Playing it safe there on the side of Gabe, choosing to just secure the oracles for now, because even though eUnited were on the opposite side of the map, with an Athena ultimate,
it's true.
That's always enough to buy time.
That is very true indeed. And then not only that, Chaos doesn't have to be all the way at the fight to fight that Earthshaker that could turn the fight around and even steal the gold.
And Vulcan can be... You'd be surprised how fast Vulcan can move with his passive.
I know, with one leg as well, this guy moves pretty quick. Do you know what I mean? He's got a peg leg and he moves relatively fast for the type of situation he's in. Snoopy's going to take a trade here against Panda Cat, and Panda Cat's in a better position with Athena coming in. This was executed to perfection from eUnited. eUnited couldn't really do much there.
Now, neither could Snoopy, and now eOnic might actually be finding himself in trouble as well. Virizio with the body blocks on the Sobek play.
But Hurricane is now here in the back, gets a good ultimate off. Only 2 ticks onto Panda Cat, however, and it's Virizio the one that will be a casualty for this play. Walrus gets credit for that kill. Sinosure goes to the back trying to clean up the crew of eUnited on the run. He won't be able to find anyone, though, so it ends up being Snoopy for Virizio in trade.
Virizio spent so much time trying to body block eOnic from getting the escape pluck that he didn't realize just how out of position his team was, considering that they started backing up.
Yeah.
But he's still way too far forward, and that pluck underneath the tower in the late beads as well, which is really the most important part, is he lost his beats to that.
But it does seem to be the story is get Panda Cat ahead right now. That seems to be what eUnited are trying to do. Get some presence on this Hu Yi early on in the game and try and shut down a little bit of what Scotty puts out.
It seems to be working as well. I mean, he's got a 2-level lead already onto Snoopy, which is exactly where you want to be as a Hu Yi.
And not just that, he's now finished his Transcendence as well, so he's going to be stacking earlier. The power spike for Panda Cat is here. And we may actually see eUnited turn their attention to the Gold Fury now because of that.
They have plenty of AoE and objective control between the Vulcan and the Hu Yi, so it wouldn't surprise me in the least.
We'll see what happens next, because on the left-hand side, Memory of Gabe going to be heading 2 into the jungle. There's nothing really over there to take. The left-hand Harpy's about to respawn. Hurricane will take a trip back to base and get his helmet online, and Snoopy's doing what he needs to do right now and freeze the wave, but eUnited not going to let that happen for free. They're going to pull the gold, and Sinosure going to make sure that that isn't done for now. But eUnited, they definitely do want to fight here, Taco, and you can see that because Virizio's in the sky.
And it looks like Snoopy's the target, having to expend his beads to try and keep Virizio off of him, but it might be to no avail.
Ricochet coming out from Panda Cat, and the heat of the suns is raining down. Chaos gets credit for the kill, but Panda Cat leapt all the way in. Panda Cat will have to sacrifice himself to get his team out. Pain, to be honest, trying to ult to get away from this, but it won't be enough. Hurricane will get credit for the kill. The stacks was just too much. 2 for 1 engagement goes the way of Memory of Gabe.
And now it looks like Gabe are actually going to be the ones looking at this Gold Fury as opposed to eUnited. And
I gotta admit, though, The raid boss is on his way. Osiris has arrived. Benji, though, is getting zoned out by Walrus here. Walrus is doing a great job of zoning, and Benji might not be here in time to steal that away. Memory of Gabe will get the Gold Fury. Unfortunately, Benji couldn't make an influence there. I thought he might have done something, you know, with the ultimate being available too, but Benji's body blocks were great there.
Now, Walrus, this time around, he's not a Thanatos. He actually is the one with the level lead now, the 2-level lead on the Osiris. So Benji's not having anywhere near as much free reign on this Osiris like we saw from him in game number 1.
Good work from Walrus then to rotate in and make sure that went the way of Memory of Gabe. The kills, 5-3 now. The gold lead stretches a little bit more with that Gold Fury going down to around 3,500 gold, 4,000 experience. Snoopy, go back to the lane, and he was doing this a minute ago as well, just before that Gold Fury, which is freezing the wave. We don't see this too much, Taco.
Well, the thing about freezing the wave right now is that the creeps push so evenly into the lanes that it's kind of difficult to just freeze the lane at this point in time, especially against a Hu Yi who can push up the lane as much as he likes. Snoopy just wants to ensure these last in hand because not only is he stacking, but he's just behind.
And he can't really, every time
he's
he goes
got to play
forward,
safe.
Panda looks to fight, but Peggy's looking to steal away the purple. Ionic turns up at the right sort of time to try and contest that though and secure it for his team. Payne gets plugged before the dash is used, so the dash is still available here. Payne Divion will dash away, Verizial in the sky. Just showing presence there, like, hey, if you carry on chasing, we're gonna fight.
But this is great for Snoopy because now that he knows Verizial's ultimate has been used, he can start pushing outside of that tower line.
Which is what he might need to do now, but Payne Divion is still in that duo lane, so Snoopy will have to play this relatively safely on the backside. Right-hand side, you can see Walrus is headed back to base and picked up a Frostbound Hammer to join that of the Breastplate of Valor, so he's going to be slowing consistently, just like Benji will be.
Frostbound and a Sunder at that. So whatever impact Benji was having in game number 1, he might not have the same kind of free reign in game number 2. And now Portal Demon being looked at by Gabe.
Payne Divion is ulting in with Benji in tow. 2 members on the front line here for eUnited to disengage. The Chaos was expecting the full commit there. Now the Earthshaker's down. Remember, you get like, hang on a second. They wasted all that for free? Well, we'll take a fight now, knowing 3 ultimates are down. Thank you very much.
eUnited knew. As soon as Chaos's ultimate just landed onto a reset Portal Demon,
it was K.
They just backed off. There's nothing else you can do because that's your biggest contesting factor at this stage. And when you just see that ultimate just land in the middle of nowhere, it feels Batman all around.
And that allows Memory of Gabe to get that Portal Demon, not necessarily for the positional advantage of going back to base and through it again, but it will allow them just to extend the golden experience lead like this tier 1 tower on the right-hand side will also do. Walrus still 2 levels up on Benji, the biggest lead at the moment in the game.
And probably one of the more important leads in the game, considering that this time around, Walrus, he's trying to bounce back from that initial game that he had on the Thanatos. He is not someone who is ever going to be happy having a performance where he just doesn't get to be impactful. And this time around,
he wasn't impactful last game, let's be honest. It wasn't necessarily his play, it was more the Thanatos pick against the fact that Osiris
it's a 180 though.
There's nothing you can do.
It's a complete 180 here, and now he's the one. He's just happily slapboxing away Benji and finding the better end of it as well.
With a Frostbound Hammer, he's got a whole item lead over Benji now. Benji needs some help in this lane because Walrus doesn't really want to give up if he can help it on chasing. Knowing how deep he is, though, he will fall back after clearing the wave. The speed taken by eUnited before the grouping of Memory of Gabe looked to steal it. They could have pressured tier 1 in mid there. They went for the speed buff invade. They won't find it.
Well, actually, Gabe were able to find that speed buff steal.
Oh, my bad. I did not see that.
It was really unfortunate for Verizial, but they actually managed to...
No, they didn't. See, you don't know what you're talking about.
Don't
know what you're talking about. Chaos just picked it up.
I'm in reverse.
Listen, trust me, we all get them wrong. It's okay. The community seems to think it's the easiest thing in the world to do. Trust me. Try casting live every single buff that goes down.
I'm so used to seeing blue and blue.
It's not always the case. But speed buff given to Chaos here. Now that's an interesting one. I guess it's because Verizial picked up the red more than anything else is the only reason they've given it to Chaos? Or do they want Chaos to have more mobility here, Taco?
We've actually been seeing this a lot from North American mids, predominantly with Soar and Andesser, where they've been opting to actually give their mid laner the speed buff.
Hang on, but that's Andesser, and he used to be a jungler, and he's still in that mindset of speed is king, right?
It counts. It counts because you want your mid to survive.
Right.
And survivability being such an important aspect of the game, especially on a Vulcan. Of all characters, like, he already has a decent speed buff himself because of his passive.
Yep.
So you combine an actual speed buff on top of that, and he's quite a nuisance to deal with.
What do you think about Fatalis on him as well?
Please no.
Why not?
Just don't.
Just think about it, because it gives him penetration, which is something you want.
No.
And because of his movement speed from his passive, combined with a Fatalis auto attack that you
No.
want to weave in between abilities. Why are you saying no to me all the time?
Why? Why do you want me to say yes to that?
I don't know. I just wanted to talk about some nonsense, because the other casters do, but they all talk about food. And I'm not going down that track.
Almonds.
No. 5-3. Less than 17 minutes in this game. Memory of Gabe are up in this one, but it's not over by a long stretch right now with how these two compositions have been formed. As the game goes on, the team fighting potential from eUnited does become stronger if they can get their front line in order and set up Chaos and Panda Cat to carry them with the damage.
But even with eUnited still having a strong team fight potential, you have to say the same thing for Gabe. And if anything, I would say that Gabe actually has the better team fight aspect, because now Hurrywin has the protection that he needs to do what Zeus does best, and that is control the map.
Well, currently he's destroyed the Gold Fury. Brazil in the sky, going to be very late to this, but looking to steal it away. The Earthshaker will zone Memory of Gabe away. The Gold Fury is going to go down. Goes the way of eUnited, but the fight a different story. Brazil's already dead. Sinosure contesting against Chaos, who's doing very well with the meatballs to get himself away. The speed buff is getting him moving, but he can't escape Caldeir. Oh, the detonate from Hurrywind. Ionic on the front line is very, very weak, forced to fall back to his team as Snoopy cleans up a kill on the back. Great fight for Memory of Gabe. They pick up 3 kills, but they do lose the Gold Fury there, Taco.
But they still have a 4K lead over eUnited, so it still probably falls into favor of Gabe just because of the fact that they have all of their team members still available. And on top of that, you can just see how well Gabe is able to just swarm down onto targets during that team fight. Just absolutely chaos on the side of eUnited, where nobody was really certain which way to run, and half the time they couldn't even control which way they were running because of the Scotty.
Because of the Scotty and the Permafrost. Well, you talk about a swarm. The swarm of Memory of Gabe is going to go straight for the Fire Giant here. Snoopy did not tank that very well at all. They'll be very upset members in the community right now that forced that. But the Fire Giant is getting low. Here comes eUnited to contest. Verizel's the first on the scene, joined by Benji, looking to steal away the Fire Giant, but it's not going to happen. Memory of Gabe secure it. Hurrywin forced to bead to the tether, will be pulled away from him thanks to the work of Ionic. Hurrywin still under pressure, but Snoopy's damage to the backside stops Verizel getting involved. Hurrywin finally falls down thanks to Benji forcing to ult there. They did get the Fire Giant buff off Hurrywin. Was that worth it?
Hurrywin's having flashbacks from game number 1 right now
Get
with how
away from
hard
me.
eUnited just committed to him. Just no care in the world. eUnited were just 100% set on killing Hurrywin, and honestly, that's pretty worth it. I mean, not only are you losing your Zeus, but you're losing a Zeus with Fire Giant buff, and sure, Verizel traded out his life for it, but they got both of both of Hurrywin's actives, or the Aegis was already expended at this point in time, so at least he'll have that available to him whenever he respawns, but losing beads against an Athena composition is never a fun time.
That's true. And if you actually look at what Hurrywin's done in terms of damage right now on the left-hand side of your screen, he is top of the damage chart. So removing Hurrywin from the fights will slow Memory of Gabe's advance down with this Fire Giant buff until he respawns. Then they can start to group up again. And I guess United will probably invest into Hurrywin one more time, knowing those relics should still be on cooldown.
It looks like Gabe are going to want to swing from mid to either left or right side, just knock out every single tower that's still remaining on the map. And with the Fire Giant buff, that's really what you should be doing with this first round of Fire Giant buff. If you get the picks, sure, maybe look to pressure a Phoenix, but just opening up that map pressure entirely for your team is really important.
Tell you what, Panda Cat got lucky seeing that ward get placed on the left-hand side. He will get some nice damage off into Ionic, who's in a bit of an awkward spot. Stun didn't last long enough from the Ricochet mark of the Crow combo for Pain to be able to find that taunt before Ionic could escape. Now Memory of Gabe can start to group on this left-hand side.
It's actually interesting because I just realized Ionic's only level 13, so even though he's got the Fire Giant and a couple of items online, he's really not that tanky at this point in time.
Not just yet. It's all on Walrus for the tankiness of this team. Level 19, highest in the game. The closest opposition to him is Benji at 17 right now, and that means the Squishies are very vulnerable to a Vermana who has that Frostbound Hammer if he so chooses to go aggressive.
But wow, that tower shred.
Yep. That's what you get against a Fire Giant team. The Fire Giant buff will remain on for a few more seconds. It's not going to be up much longer, I want to say. About another minute, I'd give it. For now, it will give him a chance for one more engage. Verizel hanging around at the back on the Ratatoska, looking to initiate the moment. Pain finds a taunt.
And Verizial, he wants it. He's ready to go in with the Rad Tasker.
Hits 3 at the backside as well, but it ages most of the damage. Side of Shotgun ages nothing, though. He has to use his ult defensively. He'll escape for now. Different story from Horrywin, my friend. He's going to fall down already. eUnited now trying to turn tail after finding the pick they were after. Benji will fall down to eOnic, though, with a very good lurking in the waters. eOnic is on his own duty right now, surrounded by 3. Walrus comes in, and Walrus going to force Panda Cat out. And now with Side of Shot coming back in with the rallying ritual, it allows him to go straight to Panda Cat and look for the cleanup crew. Panda's a couple more hits from death, but Side of Shot's taking a Phoenix. And Snoopy gets the double Caldeir, and the in-hands come into play.
The ricochet just going perfectly triangle over Cynosure. You could see that he was clenching, but he's going to fall anyway, but so's the Phoenix.
And there's goes the Phoenix on the left-hand side. Rallying Ritual was used there at the end by eOnic to get back in that fight.
That was such a beautiful disengage and then re-engage by Gabe. Walrus buying enough time for his team to respond with those rallying rituals, and that's really all that you needed.
Yeah, for me, it's the difference between the front liners of both Game 1 and Game 2. eUnited Game 1, their front line was amazing. Game 2, memory of Gabe's front line, look at it. 4-0-7 on Walrus, and then in the support role, eOnic 1-0-10. Neither of the front line members of memory of Gabe have died this game.
100% all the way, and that's exactly what you want from the Vamana pick. He picked that solely to control Benji this time around and be the, hey, I'm going to be the one jumping in your face the entire time. Hurrywin's still getting a little abused in the back line there, but that's mostly due to eUnited just...
Tactical freedom now. That's what we can call it.
They're selfish at this point in time. They just want to eliminate that Zeus, just take him completely off the playing field, and sure, they're killing him, but at the same time, the rest of their team is dying too.
It's very, very true indeed. Quick pause coming out here during this set between Memory of Gabe and eUnited. Very important for both these two teams. Memory of Gabe, though, looking to try and force this to be a split, especially after getting that left-hand Phoenix just there.
And it's looking like it's lining up to be a split for the side of Gabe. I mean, they've got a pretty hefty gold lead at this point in time. Gold Fury is only going to extend it. And on top of that, the builds. There is a pretty noticeable difference in builds coming mostly between the supports, which means Gabe are going to have a little bit more frontline presence than eUnited for these next couple of engagements.
Yeah, this time round, it looks like the frontline of eUnited haven't done as well as the Game 1, and that's the thing about picks and bans after a single game, is that you try and adjust for Game 2. eUnited were like, well, nothing was really broken that last game, so let's not try and change it up too much. But Memory of Gabe have really adapted with the second game of what they needed to focus on, and they've made sure that Athena, Pain to Beyond, hasn't been involved, and neither has Verizial.
And that's the biggest difference between game number 1 and this game right here is Pain to Beyond has had no freedom whatsoever. He can't just dash in willy-nilly now on the Athena because he just gets punished for it every single time by eOnic or Walrus, and that's exactly what needed to be happening. And on top of that, the banning stage for Gabe prior to this game starting, where they took away that Emir option from Verizial, that loss of another frontline engage was actually super detrimental to eUnited's draft here.
Well, Memory of Gabe very confident right now with how this game is going. They're 9,000 gold up, so they're sitting up around the Fire Giant now, looking for a fight. They've got plenty of war coverage down, Sentry Wards 2, just to deny eUnited knowing exactly anything without having to get eyeball vision onto the situation. Meanwhile, while this is all going on, Sacco, the left-hand side is pushing with fire minions.
And those fire creeps are going to start wailing onto that Titan.
3, Verizial Earthshaker onto Horrywin, but it gets Aegis and avoided. eOnic took a lot of poke in the front, Pain to Beyond meditates himself to heal himself back up. Still being invested on, but Verizial gets blown up by Walrus, and a combination of him and Cynosure. Cynosure gets the second kill as Benji now falls down once again. 2 members of the front line are dead. Walrus on the back looking towards Chaos once again, slowing him down. They don't want to dive too deep though, Memory of Gabe right now. They're happy to fall back towards the Fire Giant and towards the Portal Demon.
Might as well pick up that Portal Demon. That way, those who are low can just come back in, looking at eOnic in particular, and the rest of the team as well. If they're winning a team fight, you might as well spend some of the gold. I mean, you've got the freedom with the Portal Demon being available, and eUnited, I don't think they're going to be able to really contest this Fire Giant. Not with those fire creeps flooding into the base on the left-hand side of the map, and then on top of that, everything's been expended.
I like the call from Memory of Gabe to send the whole team back there. Knowing eUnited couldn't really do anything to the Fire Giant themselves, they also managed to get a lot more wards, which allows them to either continue a fight at the Fire Giant if we see rotations from eUnited looking to defend, but more importantly, what they can do as well is start to immediately siege and place these wards down, looking to close the game out.
And it's looking great for Gabe. This time around, though, Hurrywin is going to have to play it incredibly safe and just hug that backline as hard as possible, with both of his actives being unavailable for a little bit more than a minute. I mean, we've seen eUnited be more than happy to dive him already. It wouldn't surprise me if they chose to try and do it again.
Not being funny, though, this gauntlet is shaping up to be crazy when the gauntlet land happens in a couple of weeks' times, because all these teams are so close. With best of twos in the regular season, that's not the case in the gauntlet. One team has to win. They will be best of threes minimum to make sure they can try and get themselves through to Masters. But you can't call who would win them right now with how this season's been.
Not at all. North America has been pretty cutthroat so far, and I mean, that just makes it all the more exciting as far as the split is concerned. I can't wait to see how this gauntlet is going to line up.
Well, I can't wait to see if Gabe can close this game out. Virizial's already in here, like swimwear to the back line. Looking to deal damage, but he's already dead. Snoopy picks him up, Payne's dead too. Walrus gets credit for that kill, and Walrus goes straight to the back line. In the big baby form, he'll be able to regen a little bit more. There's a meditation as well. Memory of Gabe feeling pretty confident now, knowing this is a weakened Phoenix.
That Phoenix is going to fall almost immediately to Snoopy. Stands absolutely no chance with the full penetration build online for the Scotty. And now mid-Phoenix is going to be the next target.
Definitely going to chip down very, very quickly here with the amount of in-handers. Walrus and Sinosure whacking away in at 2, as well as 5 members with the Fire Giant buff. It does increase the damage. They all do to structures as well. Final tier 2 remaining on the right-hand side now for eUnited. To defend, I don't think they're going to try to.
You kind of just forget that T2's been hanging out with how much pressure that they've been placing onto the mid and left Phoenixes this entire time. You just, oh yeah, by the way, this is still up.
Yeah, that happens sometimes when these games go on so long where they're fighting Phoenixes and you're like, oh, let's get the final Phoenix. Wait a second, we can't hit it yet because the tier 1 and tier 2 are still up on the other side. This time around, though, Memory of Gabe going to head back to base, finish off a couple more items. Nemean line picked up there by Ionic as well. You can see as Walrus has also picked up the Mantle of Discord, I should say. So an extra stun and a little bit more protection on the front side.
You know what's incredible, though?
Me.
No.
Okay.
Gabe.
I just put it out there. I might have been right.
I had to let it. I had to sit on that one for a second to make sure that there wasn't any way you could possibly murder me right afterwards.
I would never murder you. That's rude. I'm not abusive. I am not an abusive person. I'm a nice person. People just get me wrong.
That's what they all say.
You just get me wrong. That's what it is.
but no. Back to what I was talking about, though.
You were talking about something?
Gabe actually had a 15K gold lead, but look at the mid laners. The only point in this game where the XP lead isn't one way or the other or anything massive separating factor, it's actually Chaos has been hanging with Hurrywin.
That's true.
Just fine.
Well, we've got to keep an eye on Chaos then, because he could turn this fight in a single Earthshaker if it's at the right time. There's a lot of agency on the side of that Memory of Gabe. Virizial once again initiates the fight. The Earthshaker hits, but it was on the front line, and it wasn't a whole lot of damage to absorb. Payne Divion is dead yet again. That's his 7th death of the game. The Phoenix now being assaulted down by Memory of Gabe. Yes, Panda Cat got off to a good start this game, but it doesn't look like eUnited can weather the storm that is Memory of Gabe and those ice fields coming out from Snoopy. The wind from Sinosure is just too strong as well. And then add to the mix a bit of lightning. Very, very frightening from Hurrywin. 21-6 at the end of the game. Memory of Gabe make the split.
And again, nothing wrong with the Scotty